Hello everybody, back to the datadice YouTube session, and today we talk about slightly different topic, navigation. So very specific today, and we would like to go a little bit more into details when it comes to having the Looker Studio navigation versus building your own navigation. So what are the pros and cons? Stay tuned and have fun.
Hi everybody. Today we're going to have a bit more of a debate today, because before we were preparing, for the video, we had like a bit of conflicting views of how to go. And it's all about navigation in your dashboard, concretely in Looker Studio, formerly known as Data Studio. I think for a long time the navigation that it was by default in Looker Studio was quite limited. You had like some very few options. They've been adjusting it as time goes by. In the meantime, we needed to have a lot of flexibility because we have some dashboard that have 50 pages or something, and we needed to come up with an approach to that, some hacks to make it work. And I think we're going to talk about what might be the best approach. I mean, sadly, spoiler, the answer is it depends. But let's see from what it depends and which one we would go for. So, Thomas, you were playing with the new possibilities from navigation recently.
Yeah. So when Ricardo said we had a conflict, I was basically showing the way new, cool navigation we have in place. Yeah, bottom line. Good introduction, Ricardo. It depends. We worked super long with building our own navigation that had a lot of advantages. First of all, the biggest advantage was it was like super flexible. So whatever you do, you can set up everything yourself. And if you would like to change it and have it in a different way, you can simply do that. Even if you have, for example, 5 main categories, which you built yourself, and you click on one of the main categories, like one of the navigation points, you could, the next page, which you get redirected to, you could put a complete different navigation. You could, for example, say, if you clicked on the second element, then the other 3 elements are moving down and you put some sub-elements in the middle. The good thing was, or the advantage was, it was super flexible. The downside was, it was super tricky to have everything aligned, right? Because for every single page, you need to have the same pixel where your like text is located, because otherwise it doesn't look that nice and also not professional.
We're also showing mostly a small bar, for example, on the current page, right? So basically, when you have on page 3 overview, whatever, then you also see then on the right side of the navigation panel on the left side, you're seeing there, whatever color, a quick bar. And that was, for example, also a difficult one, because if you're adding, for example, at the top, a new navigation site, new navigation menu, then you have to readjust all the links again, and especially all these small bars, because they are also for sure on page level and not on report level.
And that works quite good if you have 5 pages. And that's also how we started like years ago. But sometimes we also have projects with, I don't know, 70 pages or more. And then it gets tricky. If you change one item at the top, then you change basically the layout of 70 pages, which is just clicking through pages and of course makes no fun. And that's why I think, to make it short, Google improved the way you can do the internal navigation super much in the past. If you use the internal navigation, you have a lot of like additional things you can do. For example, you can put it at the top, you can put it on the left-hand side, you can add icons, you can change the colors, and it feels way more natural. And you can also now operate on different like levels, like different
That is the main point.
subcategories.
Yeah.
And this is, or was at least for me, the game changer, where it made again sense to use the Google internal one. And I cannot even tell you when this change was added. Do you know, Alex?
No, I don't know the date, but it could be that it was already 2000. So we have now 2023, 2021. Then it could be already.
I mean, they added the possibility to have this different navigation, but still the subgroups were not working that well, no? And now, like, having the possibility, because I think for me what was more important was when you had these clear pages that for whatever functionality reasons we wanted to have different versions of the same page together as one, no? When you change the filters, then you go to a different page. And this was never that easy to have with the normal Data Studio one, no? If you were navigating just between pages, it was just like page 7, page 8, and it looks the same, but we know. And the possibility that we have from our custom-made navigation, it had this flexibility to go through it. And also clicking and seeing like, okay, a subgroup within the same one and adjusting the navigation. Now that's possible with the internal one, no? I still think there is the use case for the custom ones, because at least how we use it sometimes, you go to a page and the page, while going through it, you're applying a filter through it, no? And I think that's still something that I'm not sure if they would like to do that, because it adds a lot of complexity that might not be needed.
Yeah, it's a lot of complexity.
But I think for most people, like if you're gonna have, I mean, if you have a dashboard of 5 pages, basic navigation, whatever. If you have something of 10 pages, like these subgroups that Alex will show now, how it looks like, it's actually very convenient, no? Like having this subgroup. But when you start trying to get like what we see as all the potential that there is in Looker Studio, I think you need a bit of that flexibility from that.
Let's go a little bit more into detail at that point. What you mean, Ricardo, is imagine you're showing your sales, but you have 3 main sales channels. Like, let's say your internal shop, Amazon, and maybe all the other like third-party channels where you sell your stuff, which you have, for example, integrated with TradeByte or whatever like middleware you are using. Then it could be that you would like to integrate that into certain filters, right? You say, okay, I have only 1 page, and I don't want to create 3 pages, because then you could also use the internal navigation. But if you use 1 page and you say, the only difference in my 3 views is that this 1 page is filtered by, let's say, Amazon internal or TradeByte. Then, of course, with an internal navigation, you can do that, like with the custom navigation. And with the custom navigation, you can do that, because you can say, okay, link to that page and apply the same filter. Because you can, of course, change the complete URL you're redirecting to. That you cannot do with the internal filter. I think at least it's not possible.
Yeah. So basically, what I like on our custom thing is that you have everything which is important in terms of report, customization or navigation or however. So basically, configure your current dashboard is that everything is on the left side, right? So we have usually on the top left, we have the logo of the project or of the company, whatever. Then we have down there, then we have the whole navigation. And then down that we have the filters, where we're also trying currently a little bit more around with the filter positions and so on. But usually it's still like that, which I still like, because basically then you have on your left side, you have all your charts, all your tables and so on. And on the left side, you can basically manage your report, which is quite good. For sure, a disadvantage is when you are using this custom thing, you need space for the custom one, right? So you're basically losing space from your report.
You cannot hide it. Right?
Exactly.
There's of course no button
collapse
to hide
or
it.
expand. Yeah.
But also, can you collapse the internal one? Like
So yes. So when it's on the left side, you can, because there are 2 different options. For the top one, not. Yeah.
But I think you can auto hide or something like that, as far as I know. Not 100% sure. Maybe I'm now mixing that up with the editing bar at the top. I don't know, but let's try.
And one disadvantage, I think, with the tab solution, basically from Google directly, is that when you have a long name for your table names, then you have to scroll or clicking even. I think, I'm not sure. Basically, that you are coming to the next pages, which is then not that natural, not that nice. But if you have just 1 line, which is then basically enough, I think it's also depending on the screen resolution and so on. Then it's good, because then, as Thomas said, you can then also drill down. Is there a limit of the levels you can go down? Not sure. I think so.
You can definitely do 3, but not sure if there are limits.
Yeah. So I think it's enough, basically.
Yeah, you really have to say. I mean, if you need more than 3 levels of navigation,
You should make another dashboard.
you should, yeah.
Yeah,
You should think about it. That it's not intuitive for the analysts. Yeah, when you have navigations on top of the report, I really like the internal one of Data Studio, because that's then really handy. It's like it's a good usage. It's auto, how should I say, auto resizing. It collapses, it expands automatically. That's really nice. If it's on the left-hand side, it really depends on the use case, as you said, Alex. Yeah.
I think there's also an important factor. For me, whenever there's a dashboard, something that I always try to emphasize is that I don't want to have multiple axes of movement between the dashboard and the table. No, so of course you can move vertically and horizontally the dashboard itself, but also the tables, you can move them. No, and I always say when there's something, I mean, 1, maximum 2. No, like you scroll up and down the dashboard, but if you do that, don't do it horizontally, and if you do it, also don't check in the tables. This comes together with the approach that you use for the navigation. No? If you're not going to use that, then probably, yes, you should go for the Google one, because it's going to be hovering on top no matter what you do. Yeah. But if you then have something that stays in a certain way, like for me, I prefer something that takes around the size of the screen. No, you cannot be 100% because everyone has a different size of screen, but the general ratio is the same. No? So I try to keep it then on the left, and then it's no matter what you're doing, it's always there. But if you do something taller, it might happen with our custom approach that you scroll and then the menu is at the top and you lose that part, no?
But it also depends on what your settings for the report is. Depends on, do you have fit the width?
Yes.
Or are you not using that? Because if you're fitting the width, then you're at least not having the problem on scrolling, right? It auto sizes directly.
Yeah, but I think then that's something that it's more for best practices and what we see, what they use. I mean, we have a lot of experience with business users, no? That they really don't care about like stuff. They want to see the page, and probably they're going to share it. And if it has many pages, people in the team are going to be just seeing one of these pages, and that's it. And they bookmark that and whatever. So it's nice when they can have like an overview. I mean, that's the whole point of the dashboard, no? Like in one part, no? If you're then adding, of course, Data Studio is super cool, Looker Studio, that you can connect to a lot of parts, but then having all this then becomes counterproductive. Now you're swimming in information that you're trying to point, and then like, okay,
I would say we never get tired on saying, make it as simple as possible, right? I mean, you're working with your dashboard day in and day out, normally, right? If you are the data analyst of a company, you know everything about the navigation, you know normally everything about every single page because you created it or your team created it. But be 100% sure the people who are using this visualization, they are not that much into everything you created. That means the probability is quite high that they don't have this natural like experience that you think they have. So the easier you make it, the better it is for the end users to really like use the information, use the data, and that you should always keep in mind. If of course you're working in a young startup, you have like young people inside who are super data driven, it's probably completely different that you are in a company where people are not that data driven, and then you should really think about making it easier to grasp the information and also the whole like structure way easier. Keep that in mind.
I have an idea which came to my mind some minutes ago. Is so we have sometimes the problem when you're using when you're using our own custom solution, especially when you have a bigger report, that we are coming to the limits of basically your size of the report and so on. So basically in terms of the navigation, so how much main pages you're showing in the navigation, how much are clickable, you're coming then sometimes in stress with the level.
One important fact, you should see your whole navigation on the one page. So don't hide additional navigation points below the fold. That you should definitely not do.
Question would be what came to my mind is, what is if you are creating a BigQuery table where you set as first column the navigation menu name, for example, sales overview, marketing channels, whatever. The second column is the link to the Data Studio report, adding that to your dashboard, and then basically create a table on the left side.
Nice.
Where you basically show as primary dimension then the connection of first column and second column, and then you can scroll. So then you still have the problem basically that you need to scroll so you don't see the full navigation if you have too much, but you always see on the same level, you see the navigations.
I mean, yeah, cool. But I thought you were saying something completely different. Because I have another cool idea. I have another cool idea. You could make a table which gives you the navigation points 1 till 10 or 1 till 8 for every single page. So you can create that in the table. You say, per page, this is page ABC. Navigation point 1 has this name, this link. 2, this name, this link, and this you do for every page. So the dashboard, basically, you can keep the same every time, and the navigation you just change in, let's say, spreadsheets. That's the easiest one, and this you basically bring to BigQuery, and then you feed the navigation dynamically via BigQuery. Or you're all witnesses of like the newest, coolest approach of using internal navigation. There are probably some people here who are watching that and say, oh, what the fuck, we can simply use the internal navigation of BigQuery, of the Looker Studio. Yeah. But that's a smart idea. We will try that. We will make an own video for that. Not quite sure when, but we will test it.
Yeah. I mean, it's in a way similar. We were talking about how to add these glossaries at the end of the dashboard, how that, and also having it as a BigQuery table, no? That then you just put it and all the definition and all the explanation are already there. You don't need to have it. It's already shown. But yeah. I thought you were going to completely sag into the other direction, be like, no more navigation, that's it, we're done. Just like click on it. But
it's a third new idea from
just no more anarchic navigation.
I think what we can still mention again is this hyperlink function, right, which we have in Looker Studio available. It's still, so what you can do with hyperlink function, for example, you have a table where you are showing your products, for example, and then you can make a link behind every name of the product inside the table when you're clicking on that product, or you can do an image or something before, then the user sees the image basically. Then the user comes to a new page and there is already pre-filtered, deselected product ID, product name, whatever. That is really cool in Looker Studio, and you have also a lot of possibilities there. Because, for example, what we did is you have your marketplaces, then you're clicking on your first marketplace, so for example Amazon, then you are coming to a product so a product list basically. When you're clicking there on the product, you are coming then to a product detail page where you just see your product performances from Amazon because you clicked before on Amazon and then for the product. So then you can basically do a way more drill down. For sure, you always have still the filters on the left side so that you can also deselect and select there the marketplaces and products you want and change it. That is still cool. I also, due to that, we have now, for example, also Power BI in action. I see it's also possible there and even a little bit easier because there it's more UI driven and more clickable basically. So you can say here, when you're clicking there, you're coming to that page and you're pre-filtering for that and so on. It's easier than in Looker Studio because Looker Studio you have to create a new field, hyperlink function inside. You always have to check that the link is exactly correct and so on. So yeah.
But don't get too excited there, then other issues you're facing.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, but I think that's important to mention. I think you can do a lot of stuff there because yeah, you just need to, or you can also add an image in front of the hyperlink, the text. Then you always have the underline, which is still a little bit.
But I mean, this you could still combine also with the internal navigation, right? Yeah. That's no con of the internal navigation. You could still say we use the internal navigation because it's easier. Yeah. And then inside one page, you still have those deep links to deep filter for the products and so on. So as you could see in the video, how it's working, how it's naturally floating, and that's a big advantage, I think, in general, not depending on which navigation you're using.
In the end, we're talking about navigation because we think it gives you the access to a lot of the flexibility that Looker Studio gives you and what sets it apart from other visualization tools. What you need to keep in mind is who is then going to be using the dashboard. Now, if it's for you, do whatever you want. But then if it's going to be for someone else, think about like the use cases that are needed, how it's going to be, who's going to maintain it, how it's going to be easier to navigate. Is it for a diverse group of people or just like one or two stakeholders who are going to be using it? And then think about how to integrate it. No, of course, for it to be maintained, the easiest part to use how Google set it up. But if you want to really take advantage of the possibilities of a flexible solution, go for a custom solution. You can also watch some of our videos or what we did. And if you want to learn more stuff about how to take the full advantage of Looker Studio, BigQuery, and everything else, Alex?
We have also a blog post about navigation, especially about the hyperlink function, because I think there it's really worth to make an own blog post for it to explain a little bit more in detail. Yes, else we have LinkedIn, so still blog post publishes tech stuff from Google, also internal things. We have our newsletter, and we have YouTube, for sure, the YouTube channel, really important. Yeah, so subscribe. Check out the other videos. I think in one of our really first videos, maybe I even should not mention it, but we also already talked about briefly about the navigation.
It's a great topic.
Let's quickly do it again right after.
Yes, so check it out.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, and see you next time.
Really amazing how he does it every time.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.